Hello, people. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you can see everything. I hope everything works fine. Maybe you already see that the market is pumping like crazy. We saw a lot of big news with XRP and the SEC. We got the ETF things, and the crypto was just moving to the upside, especially the altcoins in the end. And the question is, what is my opinion about the market at the moment? Do we have the bull market at the moment, or is it still just a push to the upside and we still see the move to the downside? Let's talk about this in this webinar, and I hope you will enjoy this hour of lovely content. So let's get started. So first of all, let's talk about what could we expect in this next week. And you see, we will see the core retail sales, and we see the CPI of GBP, and we see as well the unemployment claims. So not big new news. I think interesting will be on Tuesday the retail sales and the core retail sales, but not what the people will look over it. And if we're looking at the CME watch tool, we still see 93% expecting a still interest rate move higher. And the question is, why is it like that? Because unemployment rate is still low and inflation is going lower to 3%. This is a good question, but let's get started with it. Let's look over the month-over-month CPI from the latest year. And we see that the June was the biggest one. And on the next one, we will look over the July one. And you see, the July was the lowest one. So there was not a big peak in July last year. So what we see at the moment, why the inflation is going super low, is because of the basis effect, right? Because what we see right now is not that we see lower prices. The only thing what the CPI is telling us at the moment is that we're going slowly to the upside. But we are still very, very expensive because at the moment, last year we've been here on the peak, right? We've been at 9.3%. And the only thing is what we have right now, that we are still going slightly higher the 9.3% from last year. And this is what people maybe forgot about the CPI. If we're looking as well in the CPI report and looking at the difference between June 2022 and June 2023, we see that the fuel oil went very, very low. The gasoline inflation went very, very low. The utilities went very, very low, right? Looking at this one, used cars went lower on inflation, medical care went lower on inflation, overall CPI from 9.1 to 3% went lower as well, right? Apparel 5.2%, 3.1%, new cars went from 11% to 4%, food at home went from 12% to 4.7%, and electricity went from 13% to 5.4%. But what is this telling us? The only thing what this is telling us is that we had super, super high levels in June 2022, and we are still higher in June 2023, but not that fast as we've been in the last before. And you still see that the shelter, for example, are even higher than what we saw last year. Same as, or I think the same thing as food away from home, and transport action went slightly lower. And what the Fed wanted to see is that the shelter is moving lower and lower. And this is why they might still move the interest rates still to the upside. And I think as well, one of the biggest problems is that you see that the liquidity, which is taking out of the market from the Fed, Bank of Japan, China, ECB, is moving to the downside, but the S&P 500 is moving to the upside. And this actually never happens. Normally, if the liquidity is rising, the S&P 500 is rising. Why? Because we see as well new money in the market, and this money will move to the stocks into the S&P 500. But as you see that at the moment that we don't see that the liquidity is falling and the S&P 500 is going higher. This normally indicates a bigger crash coming in the S&P 500 as soon as we see a rising unemployment rate or less healthy or growing company numbers. So as soon as we see the company numbers getting weaker, we should see as well a bigger falling knife in the S&P 500, right? So this is still a bad sign for the economy. But let's look at the BTC. BTC, the first question we have to ask ourselves, we see that the miners send the biggest amount from BTCs to the exchanges. And this is a big thing. We see 71,000, nearly 71,000 BTCs went to exchanges. And the question we have to ask ourselves, why are they doing it? Are they selling them? And what's the reason? So we all know that the miners are getting maybe more profitable with higher prices, and they may be sending the coins to the exchange to sell them, right? And to generate profits if the market is going lower, that they still being profitable when the price was high. But maybe as well that the 71,000 are not sold on the market, right? But maybe they got sold over the corner with OTC. So it's not helping us, but maybe bigger entities buying this kind of bitcoins from the miners, because if we see as well the hash rate, right, we see that the hash rate is going absolutely crazy. And normally, every time we see a rising hash rate, we see a move to the upside and a falling market by a falling hash rate. Same here. We had this falling market, and we had as well this falling hash rate. But now in the moment, we see a falling market here, right? This bear market, but we saw a moving up hash rate. And we have to ask ourselves, who is this person or the entity who's moving the hash rate absolutely crazy to the upside? And as well, we have to think about how can we generate bitcoins without letting anyone know that we have bitcoins, right? And the only thing is what you could do is to mine bitcoins, right? To then get them, because they are unknown bitcoins on a wallet you can hide from everyone, and you don't know, or anyone else don't know, that you are buying BTCs. And maybe big entities, maybe a state, right, are buying at the moment miners to move the market to the upside to get some bitcoins in their pockets. If we're looking at the biggest asset management firms, we see that that BlackRock signed up for the spot ETF. We saw as well that Fidelity joined the spot ETF as well. And we see, and everyone was talking bad about crypto as well. And we saw that Vanguard Group as well spent a lot of money in a crypto mining company, right? Where they spent money for a mining company, and this was a lot. It was $500 million, and they did that because they still think that the market or the mining industry in crypto will be so relevant. Because if we're looking at this picture, we see that the amount of bitcoins are holding on exchanges getting lower and lower, and you want to get them before they are coming to zero, right? So you want to get the bitcoins, they are left on the exchanges, or you want to mine them, right, to get new Bitcoins. And I think with a higher hash rate and a lower level, what we have, I mean, 30,000 is still very high, but a lower level, we generate a really tough market in the mining industry. And that's why I think um, Vanguard made a good thing to spend money in the mining industry, to anticipate as well, or to participate as well in the Bitcoin world. Because I think as well everyone wants to get in the crypto world, because we all times have to think ourselves. Okay, BlackRock sent their papers as a spot ETF, right? And then we see that the SEC is losing the case against XRP, and we have to ask ourselves, did BlackRock know about that? I think I don't know, but maybe. But the question is, what be the benefits if they would know about the XRP case? I think they don't have any big benefit. I think as well that BlackRock is thinking of, and that's the next thing is, the other thing we could think of is that maybe BlackRock knows about the coming crash in the S&P 500, because they are one of the biggest liquidity not providers, but the biggest asset manager, and they already know what's happening in the market. And maybe they know that the crash is coming, and they want to offer something else which is out of the market, are the spot ETF, which they can sell then to their clients to generate extra money. And maybe then we see BTC as a hedge in a recession. Maybe that's the thing as well. You all time have to think about it. Why a big investment firm, asset management firm, is going into a market? What is their benefit? First obvious benefit is that we see they will get some money if they're selling their ETF. Fair point. But is it the only thing that they want, just earning a little bit from the crypto market? Do they know something about the crypto market we don't know? Or is it just they bringing just the ETF out because they think it will be relevant and a very good selling product to the end user, and that's it? That's the things what is really difficult to analyze in the moment. If we're looking as well at how bigger companies right now, and in this case here Forbes is giving a better picture to BTC, I'm still super curious, because on one hand I'm bullish on all the things I see. On the other hand, I'm seeing like there's no liquidity, right? We are still taking out, or the Fed is still taking out money out of the market, but still everything else is going to the upside. How is this possible? And as soon as we're seeing that, is there a crash coming? And is BTC holding as a hedge against the recession? Or are we even seeing the recession? Because right now at the moment, I still think that everything is too positive, what we see in the crypto world. And as well, what is coming with Grayscale? Are they maybe winning as well the fight with the SEC? And there are a lot of questions. And yeah, here's the case with XRP. What they won, very important, is that the conclusion is depends on who XRP was sold to. Institutional sales of XRP are considered as securities. Programmatic sales are not, and programmatic sales are all we private people. So as soon as there's no selling with institutional sales, there's no security on XRP, so XRP is no security. If it's sold against programmatic sales, again for us, for the retail and public people. But if they're selling it against institutional sales, then XRP is a security, and this will be very interesting to see. We saw a lot of altcoins pumping up to the upside. We saw that especially Solana ADA Matic was moving to the upside because they got named by the SEC as a security. Coinbase and other exchanges took them off because they said, okay, it is a security and they don't want to get a problem with the SEC, so they took out or off the altcoins, and then we saw a big dump in the altcoin market. But now we saw, I mean, XRP is just moved up 100% in some hours, which is absolutely crazy. Now I want to show you a picture that I still think the moves we have in the market is not caused by new money. If we're looking at this, we're looking now to all UCTs, UCC, BUSD, and DAI, to all altcoins, right? And we see, and we could still put in, if we want that, we could still put in, let me do this one. We could still say plus TUSD market cap. And you still see that there's nothing coming higher. We saw a little bit to the upside, right? We saw a little bit going higher. And if we're going lower to 1 day, we saw the little dump to the upside. And we saw that the crypto cap, the total crypto cap excluding BTC, was going higher, but there's not going into new money into it because we saw the dominance went lower as well. And this is the only thing what we saw. There's no coming of new money into the market. It is still taking out some money from the market. So where is the new money which is coming into the market? We don't see that here, and we can see that as well in if we're looking to, let me do that here, right? We still don't see that here. Let me register here real quick. We don't see that here either, right? We can now go to day, and you see all the exchanges still have a negative CVD on spot, right? The only thing what is a little bit positive is the CVD we see on USD. So everything what is bought with USD is going to the upside, but everything else is going negative. And the question we have to ask ourselves, where is the money coming? Look, you see that here, everything is going to the downside. And there's no new BTCs coming into the market, and or new money coming into the market. We see a little bit of USDs coming into it, but that's it. There's not much. And we see as well that the aggregated CFD is going lower. So what we see in the futures market is going lower. We can check as well something else. Let me do this one. We see here it's going lower. We see here as well. And here as well we see the crash. We saw a lot of shorts coming in. But again, funding rates are to the upside. Aggregated CFD stablecoin margins are low. Open interest, okay, we took out a lot of open interest in the market, but I don't see where the new money is coming in. I don't see that. Right, and these are all good signs if the funding rates are red to make some dollar cost average in the market. Because I still think it's a good time at the moment to buy something, and yeah, this as a little tip if you want to invest into crypto at the moment. If we're looking to the market, right, and on the charts, let me show you the charts. We see something else as well. We see that the DXY is crashing the downside, crashing down the downside, and we see as well that we're hitting now the 200 week moving average, which is a good sign maybe where we can see bounce to the upside, right? And we still had this trend line where the market couldn't go to the upside. Uh, the thing is, if the US dollar is going to the upside, then I still think we have big problems on BTC. But you see that here, how the big crash was going on the dollar, but we don't see this big move to the upside in crypto. We don't see that. We saw spiking higher, retracing lower, which is now a big sign of moving lower in the next week, right? This could be maybe just looking at the charts, the reversal on the market. We see the S&P 500 is super close from a new all-time high. Look, it's not much. And the question is how far it could can be, because for me it's already too far. And the thing is, I still think that for myself, I wouldn't invest anymore in the S&P 500 because it's already too high. Last time I talked about how the bigger player thinks that we're going lower. I still same thing with the Nasdaq. Look at the Nasdaq, how far the Nasdaq already went. We are here already in this fair value gap, but there's not much from this all-time high. If we're looking at BTC, look at BTC. On the monthly chart, we see we generated a new monthly high, which is a good sign. We still didn't trigger this fair value gap here. Market still didn't touch this fair value gap, unfortunately. The week high went higher as well. We broke this high and now we could go lower. If we're looking as well at the liquidation levels, let me take out the liquidation levels. Then you see as well where we could see. Let me do this as well. So yeah, and you see we're already generating all times new shorts. You see that here, how perfectly the market is taking them all out. So we took this levels out, market is generating them new. We took this level out, market is generating new shorts. You see that already here, new shorts being generated. And but we have a lot of long liquidations here on the downside. So I still think there's a big possibility to going to 27,000. It's still not much because we are still here at this level where we came back, but we still have as well this level here at 25,700. But as I said in my latest video, I think we switched now from this level to this level, which is now our important low. And if we crack down this level, I think then we can go even lower, to go even lower than this level here. But the question is, when does it take? And I still think every time we generate a new high, market is all times very slow to make a new high again or to hold this high to go even higher. Which is a good sign for BTC, because if you want to manipulate the market, you all times generate a new high, then let the market crash, so you take out the speed of the market. People don't think that we can go even higher because it's all times, the move to the downside is all times stronger than to the upside. And then we see one big move to the upside, one push. And yeah, the question is, do we see a new move to the upside, or is it more likely that we see the move to the downside? Coming back to the charts, it still looks like that we might see going a little bit higher, but then I still think for the next week we will touch this level here again as a 28,000 level, and then we might see a new speed up to the upside. Same situation here on ETH, BNB, and yeah, Solana. All the altcoins are pumping crazy. I still think that they have the possibility to go higher, but I still think we are still in the move to the downside, and there's not much where they can go. I mean, this is a really good sign that we took out these levels and then retraced higher, but I still think that the altcoins can go lower, right? If we're looking to the other altcoins, we see that let me get here my Matic had the pump to the upside, now retrace lower as well. So the whole XRP case is nearly halved percent to the downside. I said something like here as well. Velo can go lower. We can talk about Quant real quick. Quant, yeah, nothing happened. You see that here, altcoins okay, pumped, but nothing really happened to the upside. And I still don't think that we see still much moves to the upside. Maybe on Solana, because Solana has the biggest potential, but I still think that we don't see that. Arbitrum, let me check here. Okay, went super strong. AVAX. Where's AVAX? Let us talk about AVAX. And here, same situation. Let me check. Had a good pump, took out the highs, went directly in this fair value gap where we talked about it. And now the market is going lower as well. Right? Yeah, I still think I'm still not in cryptos. I'm still not in Bitcoin. I'm a little bit angry about it that I didn't bought some at the beginning of the year, and I still think that was a really bad decision to not buying them at the beginning of the year. But I still think if we're looking at the numbers and the charts, I still think that we might see a bigger move coming to the upside. Yeah, that's to my analysis. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm still all times overthink why BlackRock is coming to the market. Is it just because they want to participate into crypto? Are they manipulating the market right now in their favor? But what is their case? Where is their benefit of a rising Bitcoin price? This is all times the question we have to ask ourselves if we're looking at the top asset management companies. Is they coming into the crypto company or in the crypto world? And yeah, that's from my side. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day, and we're gonna hear us last